Namaskaram everyone. A lot of people celebrate Navratri as a combination of Tamas, Rajas and Sattva. I have been pondering on this, like what does it mean? I brought these aspects even when I was talking about Linga Bhairavi in my previous video. And during these 9 days of Navratri, there is one distinct difference in the worship to Linga Bhairavi that happens. The first 3 days are considered as Tamasic, where Linga Bhairavi has a kumkum abhishekam, as in she's covered in kumkum. Next 3 days, it is the Rajasic presence, and so she's covered in turmeric. And the last 3 days, she's considered as a Sattvic form of Saraswati, and she's covered in chandan. So, what does this mean is what I've been wondering, because because we've heard a lot of times that particular deity is tamasic in nature. This is a sattvic deity. What does all this mean, and what does it as a devotee or a sadhaka? How does it matter to us? So in this video, that's what I'm looking at: the Rajasic, Tamasic, and Sattvic aspects. As usual, when we start researching about anything that's related to Indic wisdom, ancient culture, deities, one of the first things we hit is a whole bunch of conflicts between Sampradayas. So the moment we look at Sattvic, Rajasic and Tamasic, we come across the Vaishnava people calling Shiva Puranas as Tamasic. We come across Shaivas calling Vaishnava stuff as Tamasic. And apparently that takes us to hell. So we just have to get over this, So I just skim through it because maybe at some point of time where all of these sampradayas were so rigidly implemented and we all lived within those communities, in which case I would be with my Jain people, I would not interact with other communities, then I would not even be shooting this video. And you would not come and watch this video. You would go to your own Sampradaya person, I will go to my own Sampradaya person. That is not the truth anymore. Not only are we completely mingled, we have our friends, we have families all mixed up. I'm sure a lot of us are very close to some people who are from, if not a different religion altogether, they are from different communities within the same religion. So we need to just get over these Sampradaya conflicts, because today this is not relevant at all. We cannot have a close friend who is from a different Sampradaya and within ourselves we think, oh, that guy's path is wrong or it's Tamasic, mine is correct. That's just ego, that's nothing else. So getting over that, however, we come to one very important aspect which I want to cover right away in the beginning of this video. The fact is that in all of these Sampradaya conflicts, it is considered almost like a bad word to say Tamasic. It's almost like you're saying that is Tamasic, which means it is a road to hell. It is like a bad word, almost like you're swearing at someone. This is a very big problem actually. We need to understand this properly. See, Tamasic, Rajasic, Sattvic actually comes in Ayurveda also, and as you know, I've studied Ayurveda. I've taken an online course with Kevalyadam, and then I've done many other courses including with Robert Swoboda. And I did check out Robert Swoboda's videos on these 3 gunas also, and his view is something I totally agree with, that we have to look at these 3 gunas as the basic building blocks. These are the 3 components of, the 3 qualities of everything in the universe almost in a way. And in Ayurveda, these 3 gunas are being associated with Vata, Pitta and Kapha. Vata, Pitta, Kapha are like 3 aspects of the body. There is no question of Vata is good, Pitta is bad. There is no such thing. These are 3 building blocks. It's like when you say the Trimurti, which is creation, preservation, destruction, we are not saying this is good or bad. We are saying all 3 are needed. It's extremely crucial. If one aspect also does not happen, everything's messed up. And that is the same thing we need to associate with these understanding of 3 gunas. And most importantly, on the spiritual path, when we look at liberation as the ultimate goal, we need to get over these 3 gunas. Vairagya is being beyond these 3 gunas. Like there is a line in the Guru Puja that we say in Isha Yoga, which is a certain form of Guru Puja. There is a line, and this is a very traditionally ancient Indic line, which says Triguna Rahitam. We basically say the Guru is free of the 3 gunas. So while Tamasic is not a bad word and Sattvic is not a great word, there is of course positives to the Sattvic quality, but at the end of the day, we are talking about being beyond all three gunas. And so the way I am saying it is that we have the three gunas, and the ultimate we have to move to Vairagya for all three aspects. And thus in Navratri there is the Vijay Dashmi, where you go through the three gunas and then you have the Vijay Dashmi, which is you're beyond the three gunas, the great glorious form of Durga or Vairagya, or however we want to see it. But it is after the three gunas are passed, it is Vijayadashmi. So then let us look at the qualities of the three gunas, and then we can look at how they are associated with the different deities, and that's where the Shakti or Devi forms come from. So Tamasic is considered as a form of inertia. See, because we have said that Tamasic is not a bad word, right? It is a necessary quality. One of the three fundamental qualities. So inertia, why do we need inertia? Do we need inertia? Yes, because when we are moving and then we stop, we are in a state of inertia, but that stopping is important. It is a form, the higher form of just stopping is stillness, which is a high form, very, very high spiritual form. So in this sense, Tamas is taken as inertia, Rajasic is taken as action or movement, and Sattvic is taken as the purity or knowledge, that kind of a thing. The way I look at it, the way I think we should think of it is Tamasic as just by itself, it is inertia, which is not good or bad. It is a necessary aspect of the universe. But if it becomes bad, if it turns negative, then it becomes stagnancy, it becomes procrastination, laziness, sleeping, oversleeping, all that indolence. If it becomes positive, like very positive inertia, stillness, what else could it be? Very stability, lot of stability. Like earth is inert, no? It doesn't, it's like stable like that. So those kind of, that balance and all that stuff will become the positive sides of, and then we have Rajasic, which is action. So if it becomes negative, it becomes greed, lust, attachment. So those things, if it becomes positive, it becomes contentment. You will have prosperity, which you could use for good things. Those kind of things. Then you have Sattva. Sattva is like knowledge, purity. So if it's like the positive side is like the spiritual knowledge and the light of, the purity, which will lead you very easily on your spiritual path. Also, if it goes into the negative side, the negative side of Sattva would be developing an ego of being very smart or very knowledgeable. Having the ahankar that, I am so sattvic, I am pure, I will not touch those people. They are tamasic people, they are untouchables. Those will be the negative sides of Sattva. And they do say, a lot of them are saying that the negative side of Sattva is the worst of all. Like, negative side of Tamasic will make you indolent, maybe you'll sleep more, you'll be lazy bum. Negative side of Rajasic makes you greedy and lusty, but the negative side of Sattva just makes you, is the worst, is what they are saying. Because you have, usually when you're in, they say that if you go into a temple and you build karma, that's the worst karma, because in the temple you're building it. Something like that, I think, that you have all the knowledge, you have that purity in some ways, your diet, everything is very pure, everything. Still you ended up getting into that deep ego trap. That is probably why it's like a big karma, because even despite all of this positivity in your life, still you went, how deep your karma must be that still you went into the hole. So then what happens is that these three gunas have been associated with certain deities. And I think it's very natural when we look at the Trimurti of, we can associate tamas, which is inertia, with destruction. We look at preservation, which is a very, active thing, like you have to keep preserving. It's like a maintenance job. That Vishnu gets connected to Rajasic. And then the Sattva, which is, you want to create more of Sattvic purity in yourself, and you just connect it to Brahma. So the three associations happen. And naturally, with these three, like Shiva, Vishnu, Brahma, the Shaktis are involved. So when we talk about Devi forms, we talk about Shiva's consort, which will become the Devi of Tamas, which we could look at either as Durga or some say Parvati, or it really depends on whichever Sampradaya, how they are looking at Shiva's consort. Vishnu's consort, which is Lakshmi, takes gets connected to Rajasic, and then Brahma's concept is Saraswati gets connected to Sattvic. And then we know the various activities like, so my understanding is simply this, that a Tamasic aspect, which I already mentioned, the laziness, indolence if it's negative, the stillness, stability if it is positive, those the Durga forms or the Kali forms or Parvati, those might be a lot more effective. Stillness, if you think of like doing a stillness sadhana, I would think more of one of these forms. If you're talking about prosperity or well-being, monetary well-being, and finding contentment in life for all the material things that you have and stuff, then we are looking at Lakshmi. She will take care of all those material aspects. And then of course we say that these deities will also help you move. Like if you're greedy, maybe she'll give you enough and help you move transform your greed from money to contentment with your money because you have enough. And then she'll move you higher also. So my understanding always has been that the deities would see where we are and then just try to keep inching us higher up in the spiritual path. However, of course, at some point the devotee's volition should also be there, that yes, I just want enough, provide me enough and then let me move to my spiritual. There are of course a lot of devotees which may get stuck and they just want more, and because they are in greed, right? So they just keep going to Lakshmi for more and more wealth. I'm sure Lakshmi will deal with it in whatever way, assuming they can actually access Lakshmi. Otherwise, a lot of people, if their greed is of a lower form, they may not even be able to access. So, and then of course the Sattvic part where Saraswati helps with the knowledge and pure, the right understanding, purity in life, those things. There are two things I would like to say here, that it's important to understand that all these three gunas are very much connected with each other. Like for example, if we were to go and become a devotee to Kali or Durga who are looking at the Tamasic side of things, maybe they will give us a punch, like an energy punch, and our laziness will reduce. The moment our laziness reduces, we'll become more active and we'll be able to, for example, earn more money, in which case our Rajasic gets impacted as well. Or for example, if somebody is, they are in a hard material difficulty, then they go to a Lakshmi and say, please help me out with these things, and Lakshmi blesses them and they get good enough money. Then the contentment comes that, okay, now I'm fine, I'm stable, let me move towards spirituality. So that once the Rajasic aspect got addressed, you get into Sattva, and Sattva gets improved as well. So for me, these three sides are connecting very strongly with Vata, Pitta, Kapha actually, because this is exactly what we learned in Ayurveda also, that Vata, Pitta, Kapha have to be looked at three balancing forces, and the best is when all three get balanced in the right levels. It is never that one is the best guna and it has to be only be that. It's not like you're converting Tamas into Sattvic, Rajas into Sattvic. It is not like that. We need all three in balance. You need a certain stability, stillness in life. You are going to, if you get into an action, you're going to want to stop. So you need both Rajasic and Tamasic. And then you need the discrimination to understand when Rajasic, when to be Rajasic, when to be Tamasic. So you need the Sattva. So these are very three balanced forces and each will impact each other. So the idea that if we go to a Tamasic goddess or a Sattvic goddess and only that aspect gets affected, but for money we have to go to Lakshmi, that is not correct, because it's a very logical thing that if one aspect gets improved in your life, many other things will get impacted. And the second thing is, I think the best thing is to just see which deities you're tending towards. If you can listen to yourself internally, which is difficult because a lot of urban people cannot do it. If the mind is too strong, like completely unregulated and haywire, then it will go in its own direction. You won't be able to quieten down to just listen where your life and where yourself are tending towards. If you're not able to do that, and if you are interested because you're watching this video, I guess take up any sadhana, simple thing. And then eventually, your internal situation will become a little sorted and then you will see a clear direction. Which is actually what also happened to me, at least in terms of the deity worship, because I never got into deity worship until like almost, if we say at 2005 I did my inner engineering, if we say that's like the formal start of my spiritual life, then it has been almost 20 years, after which I landed up and talking about deities. So in the 20 years, a certain purification and certain stability have happened within my system because I have been very intense a lot of times in my sadhana. Just not deity sadhana, but sadhana in general, the yoga sadhana. So then deities are happening. So the way I approach deities is completely different because my internal state is different. So if that little bit of quietness is there, then one can see where one is tending and then go towards that. And this is specifically urban people I'm saying. A lot of the rural people and the ones who are not so, I don't know whether to say messed up, but just so full of information which they have not been able to process actually. Then like the rural people who still just go with the instincts and heart. So if you're able to do that, then anyway you can figure which deity is pulling you. It's usually quite clear. Like for me, Bhairav is in question, very clear actually. So in that case, just go for it. If Tamas is pulling you, that's fine. If Rajasic, Sattvic, all that is fine. Whichever is pulling you, go with it because your system knows what it needs. Don't go logically. That's my honest opinion because logic it doesn't work. It's this is the deeper pull which one has to understand, and that'll take us correctly. That's my overall feeling. And then I want to talk about just one aspect which is the food part of it, the Tamasic, Rajasic and Sattvic foods. I think largely we understand the definition. Tamasic is old food, stale food, also onion and some garlic. Some people put in Rajasic, some people put in Tamasic. What else? Like I think very spicy goes into Rajasic. Tamasic has some other stuff also, like I think asafoetida, brinjal are considered Tamasic because they have a negative impact in certain aspects of the body. Rajasic are the ones who are very rich foods, but they make you a little excited or passionate. I think like in my mind, if I have that heavy North Indian meal, like that very heavy sabji, full of oils, masala, very tasty, but full of that, and those naan paratha may be coated with butter and all, that will be for me Rajasic. And I love that Rajasic food. I need that. I think it's very Brahanam, they call it Brahanam, like nutritious, like when the body feels a little weak and you need that dump of heavy rich food, that is that's Rajasic. And then there is Sattvic, which is the very vegetarian, almost raw food, if that suits you, and milk and all that stuff is good because that is supposed to improve your Poojas. So those things, I think, I just want to mention again, the way we keep looking at that Tamasic, Rajasic, Sattvic, everything is important. Same way in food also. Like mushrooms, for example, go into Tamasic, and as per Jainism, like mushrooms are uneatable. But I really like mushrooms, and I don't mean in taste. They feel very good in my body. And mushrooms are supposed to be a source of vitamin D, and a lot of us are massively deficient in vitamin D most of the times. So if we actually had those mushrooms which were kept in the sun and they absorb the vitamin D, that would be beautiful actually. So onion, same thing, like some people actually consider onion very cooling. So if it's like very hot summer, they eat onion. Garlic also has medicinal properties. So again, even for Tamasic, Rajasic and Sattvic, it is not like Sattvic is the best. A lot of times you need the Rajasic and Tamasic aspects. Again, it depends on what is being categorized as what. Meats, for example, fall under Rajasic most often. Some may fall under Tamasic, but some of, even in Ayurvedic medicine, sometimes the patient is being suggested meat, some types of meat. Obviously for vegetarian people, they don't suggest, they will give you alternatives, but if you're non-veg, they will suggest you. So it is also not correct to say that Sattvic is the greatest diet. It is not the way. That the way is that all three have a role to play, and you see your life situation and you choose. Same thing for the Tamasic, Rajasic pujas for deities. I have seen a puja in the Nepal temple where they were using egg. They use alcohol for Bhairav, which is very widely known. Meat is offered every now and then. They do animal sacrifice, but animal sacrifice, I think, is not so much about the offering of food, but more about the energy, the release that is happening. It's more about the consecration, how the consecration of the deity has been done. Sadhguru has some content on it, so I'll put a link in the description. But so these aspects, the puja activity also includes a Tamasic, Rajasic, Sattvic component, and then you have to see how it is. It is not that because the deity is Tamasic, like in the 3 days of Navratri, Linga Bhairavi is supposed to be the Tamasic Durga form. There is no meat being offered, there is no Tamasic stuff being offered. Kumkum is being offered, the entire Abhishekam is kumkum, but kumkum was always being offered every day. Every day when they are doing the Aarti for Linga Bhairavi, they are offering a little bit of kumkum. Now, because of the 3 days, they are doing a full Abhishekam of the Devi and saying the full coating is kumkum. So, again, a deity could be Tamasic, the puja is Sattvic. So, these things are very intricate and detailed as usual in Indian culture. So, I would urge you to, if you're interested, or just figure out your specific deities and just probe into that and just understand that better. That will be the best way to go forward. Don't have these preconceived notions and silly stuff without thinking properly. Think through everything. That's very important. And the last thing I want to leave you with in this video is there is a very long, multiple chapters devoted in the Bhagwad Gita for Sattvic, Rajasic and Tamasic. I just came through some people's interpretations of it. I have not done a full reading of Bhagwad Gita and I can't do it it's nowhere in my plan. I have a few other things I want to read and all. Maybe if it happens on its own, it's different. So there is a very long, like I think chapter 14, 15, 16 and maybe more also. They are long commentaries and stuff that Krishna has spoken about Sattvic, Rajasic and Tamasic. There it is different. There very clearly Sattvic is the best quality. So people have to move from Tamasic, Rajasic to Sattvic and everything is different there. Tamasic, in that what they are saying is that when a person is doing Tamasic puja, it means they are actually doing the puja to very low demonic forms. When they are doing Rajasic puja, they are doing to medium level demonic forms and only Sattvic is considering the gods. That's a completely different thing, because when you say Durga is a Tamasic, the Durga is the greatest god anyways. She is the greatest Devi. In this Bhagavad Gita interpretation, when they are saying Tamasic is a road to hell, they say you are doing puja to a very low demonic form, which is not Durga, which is something else. So then that's a very different, whole different aspect, which I am not getting into. So currently we are only looking at this because I've started from Linga Bhairavi Devi. Linga Bhairavi Devi, we have Tamasic, Rajasic and Sattvic, 3 days of Navratri of these 3 Gunas each. We are talking just about these different qualities of the Devi, and they will, my understanding is they will impact these specific aspects. So the Tamasic Durga form is probably going to impact our Tamasic aspect more. Like if we are very lazy, if we are very indolent characters, procrastination, all those things, then this is a good form for us to kind of harness. If we are looking for prosperity, material well-being, health, if we have enough but we are not feeling contentment, then maybe Lakshmi is the good one to get to. And same, if you're looking for more knowledge, right ego towards your knowledge, like not being egotistical but having the right perspective towards your higher knowledge and all that, Saraswati may be the right one. So that's about it. Do you have any thoughts to share? Please share. As you know, I read a lot and I'm going through my sense of things. I'm not logically piecing things out, because when you get into this level of information, logical piecing is going to be very lowly. It will not work. You have to use a deeper sense of life to really start piecing stuff out. I would love to know your perspective, and some of the comments I've got before have been really lovely. Thank you for that. Since you watched so far, just letting you know that I have some premium content for members of this channel only. It is stuff that is too sensitive or specific and I'm not comfortable sharing in public. So if you are interested, do check out the membership tabs for all the exclusive content that I have out there.